Good evening. It is I, Roncar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. And I am pleased that in the areas in which you live, you have all received some rain today, which was much needed and much desired. And now, what shall I address you with this evening? Well, I think I will just simply address the blessing of rain. Rain is necessary in the areas in which those of you who are present in this evening live. You are accustomed to having a good supply of rain, and so all your plants that you have are also planted, but they need a good supply of water. And so you either need to water them yourself or you need the blessing of rain. And either way, water comes to you. It is a symbol of life. It does not matter whether you turn on your faucet and get the water, or the water falls from the heaven on your grass and your plants and your crops. It is good. Water is good, and it is the symbol for life. So having water is a necessary item for all life. You cannot do without water. You will soon die, just as your grass will die, your flowers and your crops will die if there is not enough water. And so when you have a rainy day, such as you've had today, it is a blessing. Even if the water came in such quantities that it was not possible for the ground to absorb it all, it ran off into your lakes and your rivers. And this was also necessary because they had become smaller due to the lack of water. And your rivers did not have as large a supply. And so it is a blessing when it rains, and it rains in sufficient quantity to penetrate the earth so it can be possible for the plants, the roots of the plants, to absorb the water and the nutrients that they so desperately need. And so when you have a day such as today, I am sure everyone who is on this call this evening at this meeting, that you are now thinking about the blessings of water and the symbol of water as a symbol for life. So when you are reading the Bible, when you are reading other texts that may refer to water, let it come into your mind that water is a blessing and a necessity, and give thanks for the water in your life, whether it be in your well, in your public water system, or in lakes and rivers near you. Be happy for your water. Appreciate your water. And continue to wish for water. For this will be your blessing, that you receive it. Okay, now are there any questions for me this evening? That was a very short lecture and a suggestion that you appreciate the rain and the water in your life. Who wants to be first? Yes.
I have some questions about spirit guides. I wanted to know what are they, And does everyone get them? And do we only have one guide for our whole life? And is it someone we knew from a past life?
Good question.
Good question.
And very often it is someone that you have known in a past life that has decided to be with you in a life, this lifetime or a lifetime, to be of service and help to you. The number of guides you have in your life can vary with your belief. If you believe you only have one, well, then you will have one. If you believe that you can have more, then more will be coming to you. It is possible to call in helpers, spirit guides, to help you through certain circumstances. And when you are in need of specialized knowledge that you may not have, you can often attract to yourself a guide who will help you understand the knowledge that you are now getting because you are in need of it, or you desire to get because you are in need of it. And so you might have a blessing of an extra guide coming into your life. Now, the number of guides very typically can be 5. You have what is called your joy guide. It is your gatekeeper, a protector of you in many ways. That is in your life. It is not a strong protection service, but they protect you in the sense that they keep you safe from other spirits because they are your gatekeeper and they are your helper guide. They often show themselves as young girls, although sometimes they can be young boys, and sometimes they can be slightly older people, but usually your joy guide comes to you in less than adult size, let us put it that way. And they can help you in any way that you desire help, from finding things that you have lost, helping you find information. You have an internet, which is an endless supply of information. And I am sure the Joy Guides have now learned how to help you search for that information and to be of service in that way. And so they can be of service to you in any way, helping you find mistakes in your bookkeeping, helping you to do many things. But mostly you might think that you are doing all this work yourself, but you have your joy guide who will be near you to be of service in whatever way is needed. And then you might have, of course, your doctor, I will say, of medicine. He is in charge. Usually he identifies as a he. Now, please understand with these guides, these are simply names that Spirit has taken. And so if he happens to have taken the name of a famous physician, well, it is unlikely that your healer guide is that famous physician. It is simply a name that he has taken for himself. And this goes for the names of all your guides. It is a name they have chosen to use during your incarnation on earth while they are being of service to you. It is not important if it is an important name. And it is not significant of any particular relationship you might have had in the past. I must modify that. They could be names which were important in a past incarnation, but they will probably not have a resonance with you in this incarnation. And there is what is referred to, and of course, your medical doctor almost always goes by the name of Dr. So-and-so, whatever his name is. And then there is your doctor of philosophy, and this can be male or female in name, and that job, or your guides often have specific jobs and areas in which they help you. And your doctor of philosophy can help you with your investing decisions, can help you with relationships with other people, can help you with business decisions. That is your doctor of philosophy. And it can show as either male or female. Following that would be your, I will refer to him as your big Indian, because he often takes that persona and size because he is the protector. He is the real protector of your things, your house, your car, your possessions. And so, and yourself. And so he can help you in many different ways. Some people have used them to find parking spaces close to where they need to be, so they do not have to walk as much. But these individuals have been known to be of service in guarding your home and your possessions. And so you can use that Indian. He may also present himself as an African. Because there again, they are strong people, and that is why they might present in whatever form or another. Usually it would be in a form that might be significant to you, so that you are less likely to have an African here in the United States, rather than in countries in Africa, or maybe even Europe or Asia or those places. And so, and lastly, not least of course, would be a spiritual advisor. And he will simply take his name in any way that he wishes to be known. I am using the masculine gender on this, but it is any name. Now, frequently, they are in charge of your ethical development and your spiritual development. And, they do not interfere in your life so much as to help you move forward on a spiritual level and comprehending ethical challenges and things like that. That is 5. And as I said, you can attract others to you for various purposes if you wish. Perhaps someone to help you drive your car, I do not know, but certain knowledge can come, maybe business decisions or investing. Someone can come to you if you request someone to please come. So you can set up your own guides if you wish. You can use those that are already have chosen to be with you. Usually guides choose to be with you for an incarnation. They are generally your friends in the sense that you have had incarnations with them before and they have relationships with you. And so they will be of service. You will probably be of service to them when they next incarnate, because you would wish to help one another. Why do you have them? Well, if a guide is attached to you and he helps you to live he or she, depending upon their name, helps you to live a good life in which you succeed in being happy, ethical, good person, creating good things in your life for yourself and for others, you are satisfying karma. And by being your assistant in these things, they are also satisfying some of their karma that they may have acquired at any time. And so, especially with you, you can lose your guides by behaving in ways in which it would be detrimental to them to be associated with you. In other words, if you were a murderer or you were dishonest all the time, you always cheated on your income taxes, that you cheated the other people whenever possible, you were too overly selfish in a lifetime, so that then they would perhaps desert you, as it would be decided. They would choose to not be with you any longer because you were failing in your incarnation and they did not want to be associated with you any longer. And so I think I have answered all the parameters of your question. Was that a help to you in understanding?
Yes. And how do you connect with them? Do you just pray? Do you just ask them to come into your life?
Well, they are already in your life. And so you can always ask Juana for the name of any of your guides. I guess you may also ask me. I would check with Juana. And you could, so that you could just address them and just begin to talk to them. And if you do not want to ask for a name, but you want to become close to your joy guide, just address dear joy guide. And if you would like to give your joy guide a name, then by all means, feel free to give your joy guide a name yourself, rather than letting her tell you what name she has chosen for herself. And the same with the other guides, your physician guide, your doctor of philosophy, your big Indian. You could always ask them for your name, for their names, and then when you hear the name come into your mind, even though you might think it's your imagination, but go with the name that you come into your mind, and that is probably the correct name for your guide, whichever level you are asking them. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Is there another question? Now, certainly there must be another question.
It's Karen, and I have one.
Yes.
It's
How may I
Karen.
help
And
you? Karen,
yes, so both of my parents were in World War II. And my father, at least, had post-traumatic stress syndrome, and my mother had depression and repressed her feelings. So I wondered to what extent that affected me, and I've been in some ways timid throughout my life, and I don't know what to attribute it to other than to PTSD.
well, being timid or shy is often just a part of your heredity, and it can be in your DNA. You see, your impression of your parents is the child's impression, you as a child, and your mother was quiet and repressed. Now, she may have also been very shy. Do you understand? But you didn't think of it as your mother being shy, because we do not usually, when we're young, place labels on our parents that might apply to children our own age. So while we could easily think that this friend or that friend was shy because they didn't speak a great deal, you might not recognize it in your parent and even in your father, with him suffering from the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm sure if he was in combat, that it was difficult for him to do the things that he needed to do, and also very frightening for him. So it is impossible for you to recognize your timidity as being part of also their personality, because they were your parents and you could not evaluate them as an adult to an adult. Perhaps when you grew older, you came to conclusions as to these people they were, and I am sure that PTSD was not in your vocabulary or in your life while your parents were still alive, or you didn't think to apply it right away. That is a more current to this point in time for you. So they may have been had, you might have thought, well, many of the stressors that men displayed when they first returned from combat after their time in the war usually had developed and changed into something else. And they were probably okay for most of their life. But you saw what you saw, and you have labeled it as such. And if they had sudden bursts of anger, I'm sure that that was, it could have been as a result of their time in World War II. And if that was not what you observed, there was something else there, I'm sure.
So you're saying some of this can be hereditary?
Yes, a shyness of personality can be hereditary. That has already been shown and demonstrated through studies of twins separated at birth and raised in different families. They have often seen that both of them raised in different ways, one in which the parents were extremely supportive and gave the child support and opportunities in the life, and the other one where they were didn't have as much money and was in a simpler background, in the sense that the one twin was with very educated parents, and the other twin was with parents that simply were working class people, good people, but working class people. And both twins had difficulty in, I will say, bonding with other people. They were reclusive in many ways. And so it can be just a heredity thing. And however your parents treated you may not have led to your quietness. You would have to think back whether they treated you harshly. That might tend to make you quiet, because you would not want to draw attention to yourself. If that was the case, it is possible it was a developed way of thinking and being, as opposed to hereditary. But could have been hereditary also, and you would have difficulty sorting it out. Perhaps you could ask for help from one of your guides to come to a conclusion, or to remember things that you needed to remember to help you decide what you were. In either way, at your age as an adult, you have the power to change the way that you are today. So you can change that, so you can have a less timid life.
Well, thank you so much.
If you wish.
Thank you, Roncar.
You are most welcome. Are there any other questions?
You were just talking about hereditary traits. Is it possible to change hereditary traits?
Well, you certainly would have difficulty changing your blue eyes to brown, or vice versa, and those are hereditary traits. But women change their hair color all the time.
I didn't mean physical. I meant things like she was talking about, like shyness, or maybe somebody who's really angry, or somebody who's selfish, or, you know, that type of thing.
Yes, it is possible to change those things by a deliberate act. It is possible that shy people can become deliberately more gregarious and more outgoing by forcing themselves to act differently. You have, I'm sure, or maybe you have not heard, but many of your actors have often been people who were shy or could not speak well in front of others, and knew that they needed to change this trait, not necessarily to be actors, but just to change this part of themselves. And so they worked very hard at learning to speak correctly and stand up and speak in front of others, such as volunteering for debate classes, debate in school, and also signing up for theater courses. And then they discovered a love for the theater and became their profession. So that is an instance you can find more if you examine the lives of many celebrities. You will be able to perceive that these are people who have overcome difficult traits which would have prevented them from becoming actors or actresses or announcers, that you would have thought they would never enter that profession, but they have worked at it. maybe people becoming salesmen just because they needed to, or customer service representatives, knowing that they had to control their anger to be successes in life. And so they would choose to keep their anger under control and not show it. In other words, develop good self-control over their emotions. This was also something that happens all the time. I have a bad habit, I have to overcome it. And so, yes, you can overcome your heredity quite a bit. They have also, your scientists have also discovered that genes have the possibility of being turned on or being turned off as people go through different situations in their life. So that if they are under a lot of stress, it is possible that they will turn on a gene which will cause them to run into a hereditary illness that is in their family, where if they had not been under so much stress, it is possible that that gene would never have activated itself. So they are seeing that many characteristics of people can be turned on and turned off due to certain circumstances in their life.
That's interesting.
So these are just things that have already been demonstrated that it is possible. So anyone can overcome situations in their life that might have handicapped them, given different circumstances or different situations. Are there other questions?
Yeah, I got another one. Kind of along that line. I was wondering, I know we pick who we're going to be born to when we go into a body.
Yes.
Okay. When the mother is pregnant, are we able to know the characteristics or attitudes or whatever of the baby, what it's going to be before we enter it? Or do we just pick the parents and we get the kid? We get, you know.
Well, you pick your parents because of the hereditary, the situations and the hereditary that goes along with the body that would be your body when you are picking a parent, the body that is already there. So
But there's so many different babies that can be produced by two parents, you know, so many.
that is correct.
So that's why I was wondering if we know like I said, the characteristics and stuff of the baby that's growing.
So do we know, I see what your question is now, that let me think about this a moment. I don't believe any of us knows the exact heredity, DNA, so to speak, of the fetus that we are animating. Let us put it that way, since when you come into a fetus, that is part of its life force. Because there are a great many variations, potentially, as you have indicated, no one is expecting Well, you are choosing the parents both for the probable difficulties you will have in life, as well as the good things they will bring to you in life. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah, I
So
understand picking the parents part.
excuse me?
I understand picking the parents part, but within each parent, there's a dozen, different things that could
Yes,
be produced.
yes, I understand what you are saying. But since, as I have said previously, genes can be turned on and turned off due to circumstances, it is not necessary for you to know. It is not, you cannot guarantee a set of functioning genes anyway.
Okay.
They can be changed simply by your circumstances, which are determined by your parents. And so when you are choosing parents, you are choosing people that will be, so to speak, manipulating your DNA. Now, they do not know that they are turning genes on and off through their daily arguments or their loving actions. They do not know that this is happening, your parents. So it is the same. It does not matter. You cannot know exactly how your body will mature.
Okay.
No matter what you know about the parents or about the gene structure of the child. And I will tell you that we do not examine the gene structure.
Okay.
The circumstances of the parents usually have a greater influence than the gene structure. Unless you are choosing to enter into parents that will most likely give you special gifts, such as people who are great musicians, those who are child prodigies and play the piano by ear at very young ages without instruction. These unless they have chosen for a particular skill or talent such as that, we will not, it is not that important.
Okay. Ready. Thank you.
You are welcome. Are there other questions?
I have one.
Yes,
So pertaining to like we choose our parents, right?
yes.
Why would we choose parents that we have nothing in common with, that don't understand us, and that you're the black sheep of the family? Like, wouldn't we choose someone that, like parents that are into the same interests as you and that understand your lifestyle, instead of like you feel so like, I know I'm very like, my parents are really good people, but we have nothing in common. Like, you put me in the same room with them for 5 minutes, we're already arguing because they don't understand my lifestyle, I don't understand their lifestyle. So like, I'm very like nervous around, family functions. I don't really go. um so why would we choose that for ourselves and not choose like a family that you have a lot in common with?
Yeah, but you have a lot in common with your family. You just do not recognize it yet. You will find that as you grow older, and perhaps as you establish yourself more as an individual in your own right, rather than in a separate way from your parents, when you are truly separated and not trying to please them or wanting them to see your way of being, they will reach a point when you are confident of who you are and what you are doing and being successful at it, you will probably find that they are more honoring of the person that you are without trying to influence you. You are still fairly young. And as parents' job is to raise their children and to a certain extent shape them into functioning adults, your parents are still trying to shape you into the type of functioning adult that they believe is best for you. They have not been able to release themselves from that need, desire that they have to influence the person that you are. So they have difficulty in accepting you as you are because they want to change you. So it has nothing to do with you choosing parents that are compatible with you. When you are in spirit, you do not see those types of problems in your future. And if you do, you are choosing them because they will help you to define who you really are by continuing to be independent of them and being a successful person yourself. They will eventually come to accept you as you are. Some parents, however, never give up the need to shape their children into the type of beings they think they should be. And so sometimes lifetime stresses are there forever. The parents never recognizing that their child is independent, is a person in their own right, is successful, no matter how successful they are, whether they are marginally successful, it is a parent's excuse. But if they are wildly successful and it is recognized by hundreds of people that they are the most successful people, among the most successful people around, their parents may still be trying to influence them to be different than they are. So it depends upon your parents, and you really cannot predict that when you are in spirit. What is the person I am going to be? You know the person that ideally you are going to be, because you are hoping, you are bringing certain skills into this life with you, and that these will make you successful in life. You will be happy, you will be prosperous, you will be loving, and you will create good in this world. That's what you want when you come into an incarnation. And you may recognize that, well, I have some karma left over. I have to learn to be more patient, or I have to demonstrate my ability to control my temper. I need to develop patience. I need to help others more. I was too selfish in the last lifetime, and now I need to be better and give more to other people. All these things can be in your desire of what you want in your next incarnation. Also, as I have indicated in the past, it is only in the physical world that you have the ability to create. So I want to create good. I want to create prosperity for people. I want to create prosperity for myself. I want to do this. These things may be part of what you desire, but you have to figure out how to do it for yourself and be successful at it. So it's just not possible to find parents that you are guaranteed to be compatible with, because so much about the person that you are is under the influence of your parents as you grow up. And however you react to them as you are growing up is going to partially determine how they will treat you. So it's not something you can choose. It is not as easy as that.
Got you. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You just have to make the best of it.
Okay.
Are there other questions?
Okay, I was wondering about remembering. I know sometimes you'll say, oh, I can't remember something. Are there things that have happened like in your lives or any spirit's lives that you don't remember? Like perhaps would you like forget a whole lifetime sometimes?
I do not understand your question. What are we asking about remembering?
Yes, and when you're in spirit, can you remember every single thing in every lifetime you've had? Or is it possible that you forget some lifetimes even? You've had so many?
Yes, it does. You do remember the main things about your lifetime, the significant things. So you may think of yourself as being a Roman citizen, we will say. And as a Roman citizen, how did you act and what did you do? If you were a male, did you go in the army? You would remember that. Did you kill many people? You would remember that. You would remember certain things. We will say, oh, right, so you were a Chinese courtesan in one lifetime. How much do you remember of that? Well, how kind were you to other people? Were you fair in the way you acted? It was a perfectly acceptable profession. It was not a moral question for you, but how did you treat other people? How did you get along with your fellow courtesans? These are questions that you would remember. Those are parts that you remember. You would certainly not remember all the day-to-day details of all your lifetimes. It would be far more, but the important things, what you contributed to the world in making it a better place. So simply whether you have, even if you have no education, even if you are not granted any particular talent, by simply being a kind or loving individual who is helpful to other people, being kind is important. To be forgiving, charitable, these things are ways in which people with relatively little contribute greatly to the good that is in the world. Because goodness on small levels contributes to goodness on the large levels. In other words, when people in their lifetimes commonly act politely to other people, are kind to other people, who help other people, these things, even though they are little, only important to their neighborhoods and their friends, these add up to a general civility and goodness within the whole country, which then in turn creates the same thing on a world level. For countries which are good places to live, in other words, people have freedom to do what they want to do, to be as successful as possible by serving other people, because it is in serving others that you have great success. By serving others, by giving to others, they create goodness in the world. It is as simple as that. So no small act goes uninfluencing the world as a whole.
But would you remember
Does that
them?
make sense?
Yes, but would you actually remember those, or, I mean,
No,
oh, okay. That's what I was wondering.
it's many times those actions are too small. You
That's-
know that in this lifetime, in a particular lifetime, that you did, in general, as they say in the Muslim countries, they weigh your heart. And if your heart weighs so much against something or another, that you have, in general, you have contributed good to the world. And if it does not weigh enough and it has not contributed enough, they say that you will be coming back into an incarnation. You will need to do that because you were not good enough when they weigh your heart. And so it is your responsibility to contribute to the good. And if you have contributed in this lifetime and you did remarkably well, it really made up for a different lifetime when you didn't do really well, contributing to the good in the world. And so, the definition of a good person is pretty much the same in every society.
Mhm. So would you say we're more likely after when we're in spirit to remember the bad things we did or good things we did?
You will remember both,
Oh, okay.
and quite accurately. When you look over all your many lifetimes, you can make a good assessment, because you need to figure out what it is you need to do and how you should behave, and try to take that into a lifetime and live that way.
Okay.
And then you will have no more lifetimes, as some people like to say, except for the fact that being able to create.
So you might want to come back just to create.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I know from where you are, it sounds like a great idea to come back and create, but when you're down here, it doesn't sound so good.
Well, you get tired of your mistakes.
Uh-huh.
They can really make you not want to be there any longer because you have made too many mistakes.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. Alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? Well then, as there seem to be no other questions, I guess it is time for me to say goodnight. And so I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm back. Okay, well, it's my turn to say goodnight unless anybody has a question for me. Nope.
No, Lana, we're not always sure what we can ask you.
You can try asking me anything. I may not answer the question, though. At any rate, just remember, I love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.